Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome back to Career Insights 501. I'm Dr. Loso, and today we have a special guest, Jenn Uhen, and she is going to talk to us about being a business owner. So, Jenn, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. So, how's it been going with you?
Oh man, it has been great. I'm so grateful you reached out because I love the idea of walking through the career paths that we've chosen, and
Hmm.
it's fun to kind of look in the rearview mirror at how all these things that didn't make sense actually really did make a path, and a very unique path that's just for me.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it, because I feel like that's kind of been my journey. It really didn't go as planned, but it all seemed to have worked out, I guess, in my benefit, or, for what I really wanted to do with my life. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Oh man, where to start? Uh so I grew up in a family that openly talked about money, and I'm really grateful for my parents for that. Both of my parents have side hustles to this day. And so, kind of picking and they, of course, it was like before side hustles were a term. Um, but I think that they taught us directly and indirectly about our relationship with money, especially in terms of how we earn it, so that our professional identity, our profession and our career is a way to earn, and it does contribute to our identity, but it isn't our whole identity. And um, so it's no surprise to me that the majority of my siblings and I all have side hustles and multiple revenue streams and ways that we spend our time, money, and energy, and that's been a huge part of our career, and something that I I don't think was talked about ever in school, of like kind of shifting the way that I earn money may or may not be my identity as a professional or my identity as a career. And so uh, I went to college. I didn't really want to go to college, but my parents talked me into it. My parents talked me into staying in college. And post college, I worked in the music industry. I did experiential marketing for travel brands and auto and beer, wine, and spirits. And I did large scale corporate events and executive communication strategy. And then I became a business owner, and I'm a real estate investor. My husband and I have owned a restaurant. We both do consulting work. We're building this life where our profession and our career is one piece of it, but certainly not our whole identity. But I've spent my career connecting my clients to their audience, and I've had a great time doing it. But like we mentioned, it doesn't make sense. It only makes sense in the rear view mirror, but not
Yeah.
in the middle of it.
So, I'm interested in the part where you say you didn't want to go to college. What was your reasoning behind not wanting to go to college? Because I feel like there's more of a sentiment with the youth today than it was maybe in the past.
Yeah, I would say my learning style has always been through experience.
Hmm.
I learned the most by going through real experiences. So even my jobs in high school and college, um, I always wanted to do a project that was more meaningful. I would see like the big picture of the company that I was working for and want to do something that was outside of my traditional job responsibility.
Hmm.
In college, I worked for Outdoor Adventures Club on campus. I had a work study program, and I was supposed to rent out camping gear and sign people up for trips. And I did that. And in addition, I built a FileMaker Pro database to connect sort of the students with what gear they'd like to rent out and what trips they went on. And so it kind of gave us more data to talk to our students more and to kind of show what outdoor adventures could do. But it was projects like that that kept leading into more career opportunities for me, because I always looked at the bigger picture, and I really just wanted to like do the experience where like if I was sitting in a classroom instead and they're like, this is how you build FileMaker Pro databases, and you enter this and then you create this field and then you do this, like, because it's almost all fake. It didn't really mean
Yeah.
as much as like me actually like, how would you solve this problem in the real world, and kind of going through those types of experiences. But uh my parents were confident that having a college degree would help me, and in the long run it did, because I also got different jobs in college that really helped prepare me for my professional life.
So would you say that your college experience was more beneficial or the actual degree or what the educational aspect of
By far the experiences.
it?
Because in addition to outdoor adventures, I guess another year I was on student government and was the director of concerts. And so I had a $90,000 budget to host, I think I did like 12 concerts in that year, different
Hmm.
size. Like I did two big concerts in our 4,400 seat pavilion, and then did some lunchtime shows out in front of like the main building, and a couple evening shows in the coffee house. And so I had this huge budget that I then had to do line items for. And I had to negotiate with talent, and I had to figure out who the student body really wanted to, and manage volunteers and do the marketing, and do radio buys and think about PR. And I like, and work with other students on student government to make this all successful. And it was like that experience taught me more than world religions or any of the communication classes that I took. I see value in education, but for me,
Hmm.
the experience of going through it was incredibly valuable. And I think also just the opportunity to continue to grow and mature during college, and get the opportunity to have a $90,000 budget without like having to make a profit on that
Hmm.
90,000 was it gave me a lot of confidence in my ability to manage a budget. And we actually made $8,000 off my
Oh,
budget, which
nice.
was awesome. And a first, I think, in student government. Um, but yeah, I think like finding those experiences in college was very valuable. And of course, the people that I met, um, and just kind of simmering, I would say, for 4 years before I really started full time work.
Yeah. I think I think I would agree with that. Looking back on college, the 13 years that I spent in college from, starting at a community college and going all the way to a PhD, I would definitely say that um, the experiences have been much more beneficial to me than the education in and of itself. Because I feel like I could have learned what my job requires me to do in a semester, at most a year. And I think that's kind of sad to say that somebody who spent 13 years in college, they can do, learn what they need to do for their job in a year. Um, but I think that's good for listeners to hear because I don't think a lot of people in college really think about those experiences outside of the classroom. They just let me go to, class, make good grades, and, they might focus on like internships or maybe an apprenticeship or something like that or study abroad. But there are a lot of opportunities to get experience and just like learn things and grow as a person and a profession outside of the classroom. And just tons of student organizations that, you know, that aren't, I guess, I don't want to say basic, but the typical things that you think of. So like if you have an interest in photography or bugs or just whatever, like anything around your major or your profession, you probably can find some type of student organization on your college campus that can, you can join and be a part of and become part of the executive board or just a really active member and really make an impact in the organization or the community or even that professional industry, depending on, how ambitious that organization is or how ambitious you want to be or make that organization. So I definitely think that listeners should look into those different type of opportunities.
Definitely. Yeah, like even just like you mentioned, some of like these boards or the leadership team of the groups, like having that kind of experience, whether you're like the treasurer of a certain
Hmm.
social club or group, like that's going to help you with you own a condo one day and you sit on your HOA board. Like,
Yeah.
there are these experiences, and kind of doing them in college, I think is there's almost like this safety net around like it's okay to fail. Like if you're learning through failure, you're still learning, and college is a supportive space that helps you through that, which you wouldn't get if I went right into corporate. They'd be like,
Yeah.
"No, you can't go over budget in corporate. There is hell to pay if you do
Right.
that."
You're out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so talk to me a little bit more about your college experience. What was your major going into college? And did you graduate in the same field or major?
Ooh, great question. No, I didn't. Um, I started as a psychology major. I thought I wanted to work in child psychology. Taking a couple psychology classes, I learned that I think I would take my work home with me too much,
Mhm.
and that I think it would be too emotionally taxing for me. Um, and at the time I was working in outdoor adventures and student government, and really fell in love with the music industry and started volunteering as a rep for a for a record label and a management company, which then became my first job after college. I had an internship with them and built a FileMaker Pro database over the summer. And then at the end of the summer, I like told my boss, I'm like, all right, now I have to like teach you how to do this. And he goes, I don't want to learn how to do that. Like, we're just gonna hire you instead. So I worked part-time as an employee my senior year of college. So I was a full-time student and a part-time employee, and that was really awesome. But I ended up with a communications degree with psychology and leadership minors. And
Mhm.
the leadership program at my school was really awesome. I learned quite a bit around like corporate politics almost. It was a time where there were a lot of like leadership books, like Fish came out. This was um in the early 2000s, and so we were reading these leadership books and like talking about how groups form, and it was almost this crash course in corporate politics
Mhm.
and how organizations really work. And that minor was incredibly beneficial to me throughout my career and life, and still is.
Nice. Um, I guess what were some of the struggles for you as far as like not wanting to stay in college because you said your parents, helped you stay in college. What did that look like for you?
So graduating college, I just wanted to work. I just wanted to get experience right away. And my mom's like, just go to college for a year and then we'll
Hmm.
talk about it. So I went to college for a year, had a great time, and came back. And I'm like, all right, yeah, it's school. I'm kind of over school. I want to like go get real experiences. And my mom's like, all right, one more year and then you can be done. So I went for another year, again, had fun, learned a lot, great experiences. And then after my sophomore year, I'm like, all right, mom, I did it, 2 years. And she's like, well, you're halfway there at this point. You got to just get your degree. I just felt so tricked by my mom, but also really appreciated because, like
Hmm.
I think it would have been really hard for me to go back after a break and finish my bachelor's, because once I did get into full-time work, I really do love learning through experience, and so I just kept wanting to
Hmm.
build on experiences. Um, my husband took a longer time to get his bachelor's, but then since got an MBA and went to culinary school. So I don't know how he kept going to school,
Oh wow.
because I don't see it in his personality either. But
Mm.
yeah, I think I'm grateful that my mom tricked me into it. If it was just my own choice, I probably wouldn't. I don't think I have, I bet a lot of people say this. I don't think I've really used my classroom learning too much in the job functions that I have. But just as we were talking, that whole leadership minor, I really have referenced stuff from that, and have thought quite a bit about that throughout my career. Um, so it was very valuable.
Hmm. So let me ask you this question. It's just completely opinion based. How do you think that college could be reformed for your specific major to give you more of a real world experience, or to better prepare you for like what that field is like in corporate America?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I would say um, value associate degrees. Like you
Mm,
mentioned, the shrunken timeline of give me something to learn and get out. And I think also now as we look um, at more professional careers, uh, there are so many jobs today that didn't exist when I graduated college.
hmm
And so there's all these certification programs. Um, and it almost seems that the certification programs are more valuable than a 4-year degree.
hmm
Um, so I, I don't know. I would say I think associate degrees are awesome to give you a baseline to like get out on your own and learn and choose what you want to learn about and how you want to learn.
hmm
And I think for companies to also look at people and not put so much emphasis on their education level.
hmm
Even like I just got a quote for my car insurance again this week, and they asked like what's my highest level of education and what's my husband's highest level of education, and it's bonkers to me that our level of
Yeah,
education is a factor in our car insurance price and policy.
that's just
But
all a gimmick. Like that is that's just
that could be a whole different
that's a
podcast
whole nother
topic.
podcast.
That's
It's like,
that's something else
what does this
completely.
have to do with me driving?
Exactly.
Not a damn thing.
Not a damn thing. Not at all.
It's just like, yeah, all the different fees and like ways that they could get away with like them charging you more extra.
Mm-hmm.
And like my car insurance just went up this year. And I'm just like, I haven't gotten any tickets and I haven't been in any accidents or wrecks. And it's just kind of like the car's paid off, it's old, like almost 10 years old. And it's like, why is it going up instead of down? It doesn't make sense to me.
It's
But
wild.
anyway, like I said, that's another podcast.
That's
Don't
another
get me started.
podcast.
So talk to us a little bit about how it looked from, graduating college and going into your first professional career or job.
Yeah. Yeah. So the summer before my senior year of college, I took an internship at a record label. Um, and I had that connection because in high school, my high school boyfriend was into this band called Guster, and they had a rep program where you would buy CDs from them for $7 and sell them to your friends for $10, and you'd get to keep $3 for every CD
Mm,
that you sent. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, rep programs were pretty big for bands and in the music industry because there weren't online stores and we didn't have MP3s at the time.
yeah.
We were just kind of getting into the Napster days. It's a
Right.
fascinating time to be alive. Uh, and and so I then became a rep for this record label, Aware Records. And then because I was a rep, I was home on Christmas break in Chicago, which is where the record label is located and my family is. And so I just like asked them like, oh, over Christmas break, can I like come in and intern? And so they let me do that, which then got me the coveted summer internship. And it was really because I had built that relationship over at least a year from being a rep to just going in and meeting people and then getting the internship. Then I built the FileMaker Pro database that summer and then went to go train my boss on how to use it and got a job instead of him learning.
Hmm.
Um, and so that was my first job out of college.
Okay.
I, I will say my dad's favorite joke to say was like, telling people that I had a free internship, that I was working for free, which was such a norm in the music industry, and I don't know if it still is, probably. Uh,
Probably, yeah.
but the idea of free internships, I think, is unfair and wrong.
Hmm.
It excludes a lot of people who aren't capable of having a free internship for a summer.
Right.
Um, Another podcast, I suppose.
Another.
But yeah, but having that internship helped me then get my first job. So I was working part-time, and then post college, I moved back to Chicago and started working full-time there.
Let me ask you this about. So I thought about this on another info. So when I was talking to another guest, and it came to my mind, but I didn't bring it up. But I think it's kind of crazy that companies will hire somebody in the middle of their college education to do an internship and teach them and train them, but they won't hire people with a college degree who have graduated college for entry level positions. And I'm kind of like, that's kind of crazy, you know. This person has more like education at the very least, you know, but you aren't willing to invest or take a chance on them, but you're willing because it's just like you can just fire them if they don't work out. But I was looking at something that's like 36% of all jobs posted last year on 2021 were entry level jobs, and it's just kind of it shouldn't be that many entry level. I don't think there should be any entry level job openings with as many people going to college and, as you said, you know, taking all these other educational alternatives like boot camps and certifications and all that stuff. Because to me, entry level is like no experience or a year at the max. But entry level is just that, like you're just walking in the door, like you don't know what's going on. So when they ask them for 3, 4, 5 years of experience, I think it's crazy. But just the fact that for entry level positions, companies aren't hiring, you know, college graduates, but they're willing to hire, take them on for internships. It's just kind of, I think, backwards. And
Yeah, I think we need more quality entry level jobs. And
mm-hmm,
and so I stopped working full time in 2017 and became self-employed and an independent contractor, consultant, freelancer, solopreneur, all the um all the different
adjectives.
titles you can say. Yes. Um and I think that I if out of college, if I took an independent contract thing for 3 months and they could like then hire me after that 3-month period, like I'd be down for that.
Yeah,
But I think it's important to pay people for their time,
yeah,
and if it's not a culture fit, most people stay in jobs now for an average of 18 months. So either they're going to leave or you can fire them. Like
exactly.
they're at will employees. So
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out, figure it out. But I do think, yeah, like give a chance, because it after I left the music industry, my last full-time job, I I got that job because one of my friends who I had met in the music industry, it was her old manager was hiring for this position.
Hmm.
And I got that interview because I worked in the music industry. And there were two people at that company that had worked in the music industry, and they had said, working in the music industry is one of the toughest industries to work with, and we
Hmm.
will always take a flyer, we'll always take a chance on somebody who's worked in the music industry, because it is figure it out kind of people, and that's who we want at this company. Where I think people who don't know about working in the music industry kind of think like, oh, it's fun, you like go to concerts and you get to work with creative people, which is true, but there's a lot more to it. And so I was really grateful. And again, one of these, like, looking back in the rearview mirror of your career, uh, if those two people didn't know about the music industry or hadn't worked in the music industry, I probably wouldn't have gotten a job doing corporate large scale events.
Hmm. I'm glad you brought said that because to me, I think that's something that college can do a better job of is setting the expectations of how a job is really going to be. So, like you was talking about working with creative people, you get people who, I guess, maybe go into teaching and they maybe think that it's just going to be standing in front of the board like teaching these, but it's like the lesson plans, the student issues that you have to deal with, the parent issues, budget issues, like all these other things that goes into being a teacher that they don't necessarily really get into depth about. And those can be the more stressful parts of your job, because when you're standing in front of the board doing the thing that you love and you're trying to teach, and you got students who are acting up in the classroom or being disruptive, how do you handle that? And if you haven't thought about that or haven't been trained or taught how to do that, then that can really make your job a lot harder and more frustrating. So I think that a lot of students go into college with this glorified TV persona of what like all these different careers are about, but there's just a lot more that goes into these careers once you get out there in the real world.
Yes. I agree with all of that. And I think it goes back to like reading those management books for my leadership minor in college really helped me figure it out. And it's interesting because I think in MBA programs you do a lot of that. Like you do a lot of case studies on, let's do a group project and a case study on what this company should have done. And then a lot of people with MBAs go into consulting jobs without maybe having any experience of working on the corporate side, but
Hmm.
they've done a case study about it, but they were never like, they never did it. They never figured it out
Right.
with a real business, with real budgets, with real constraints and personalities and
Hmm.
external factors. And uh, I think there's a job for that though. There's a job for
Yeah.
consulting, and the job and the responsibility of a consultant is to say, well, what have other businesses done? And so
Hmm.
they have the research of all these different case studies, but yeah, maybe there's a career path for everyone. And yeah, so if you want to consult, go get an MBA and go to a lot of college and stuff, and then you'll be ready to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't know of many other jobs that are like, oh, I learned this. I did this project in college that really relates to this, or
Hmm.
I read about this in college and now I
Yeah.
can help you solve that.
Yeah. It seems like with a lot of majors, you just have like the fundamental skills or knowledge behind like the theories. If you're in like some type of psych or humanities major or STEM, you might know the basics of how to do those technical or scientific things, but really applying those to real world scenarios is kind of like where I think the disconnect comes between college and like the corporate jobs, at least
Hmm.
just from my experience.
Yes.
Um, what would you say as somebody who started their own business has been one of the things that you, I guess, struggled with, or something that you really didn't know and had to figure out the hard way, and how did you overcome that?
Ah, you froze for a minute. Starting my own business, what would be one of the
Oh, I was saying like, what is something that as a independent business owner that you've had to figure out or that you struggle with? Because I know you say your family was very open about that and they've had side hustles and all that type of stuff. But even given all that knowledge and background, what was something that you kind of had to struggle with, or that you did struggle with, and how did you overcome that?
Hey, this is Jenn Uhen with the Pledgettes, and you are listening to Career Insights 501 with Dr. Loso. I think the confidence of becoming a business owner was a huge thing. I have looked at other business owners, and uh, I think it seemed like there was a specific type of person that could be a business owner, and or more so an entrepreneur, and I did not identify with the picture in my head of what I thought an entrepreneur looked like or
Hmm.
acted like. I think there's a lot of TV shows that depict entrepreneurs, or we have these big entrepreneurs with big personalities, and I didn't. identify that. But when I was able to say, I want to be a small business owner and I want to be responsible for this business, that really helped me increase my confidence because I'm like, look, I've run budgets in my job before. I've managed people in my job before. I kind of broke down my career path and looked at the experiences that I had that would be valuable to being a business owner. Um, and that really helped me. And then um and starting small, like starting at with a side hustle. So I went my last full-time employer became my first client as a freelancer. And so that was a nice transition to me. I was able to just kind of keep doing what I was doing. Meanwhile, while I learned how to create an LLC and file my taxes in a different way and build a website and promote myself, I sort of had like this bridge, almost this cushion of I still have money coming in. I'm just an independent contractor instead of a full-time employee. um it was a nice transition into that, and then that experience and gave my husband and I confidence to then buy a restaurant. And then I've started the Pledgettes, which is a financial community for women. As I'm sure you can tell, I love talking about money from these early stories that I've shared of my life. So now I get to do that with a community of women. And so I think just taking risks and remembering that nobody is paying attention to your failures more than you. Nobody really cares. Like
Yeah.
nobody cares about you as much as you think they do. So yeah, we've made mistakes. We've tried things that haven't worked out. We've took some risks in our businesses that have been great and some that haven't. And I think maybe going back to my college days of like failing with a safety net, failure doesn't feel so bad
Mhm.
now because I can reframe a failure into teaching me a lesson to be better for the future, to be better for my employees, better for my clients, better for myself as a business owner. My husband and I just kind of keep iterating of like, okay, well, how do we create better boundaries, or how do we find what we really love to do and do more of that?
Mhm. Great answer. Let me ask you this. What was your first side hustle?
Okay, it was in middle school, and at the time there were like these glue animals that you would make with different color glue.
Mhm.
And so you'd like make them on like this sheet of plastic, and then you could peel the glue thing off, and then it would like stick to your lockers and stuff. So one of my friends and I, we created this business where we sold little glue
Ah,
animals
nice.
at school, but I never reported that on my taxes. So it's been more than 7 years, so I
You're
think
good
I'm
to
in the
go.
clear. I'm sure we spent more on supplies than we did on our revenue, so it wasn't we didn't make any profit on it. Um yeah, that was my first side hustle.
Nice. I remember, I think mine was either like selling candy bars from like Sam's Club or like you buy the box and take the school set. I think it was making those little beaded crosses where you get like the little beads from Walmart with a little plastic thing. You put one down here and then two on the top. And I think that what my brother and I did. We would make the different colors and sell it for like 25 cents or 50 cents.
Yes.
Can't remember.
I love it.
So that was our first hustle. So let's talk a little bit about the Pledgettes.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So the Pledgettes came
Oh, I'm sorry, I said it wrong.
that's okay. Uh the Pledgettes came to me in the summer of 2019. Um my husband and I, we had two rental properties, um and we had the restaurant, and it was very clear that I did not belong in a restaurant. one, I'm not a good cook, and two, I'm the slowest person in the kitchen. So often, like,
Oh,
all the employees would just take pity on me or just want me to move and get out of their way.
do you have a
Um,
episode of Restaurant Impossible?
no, no, gosh, no, gosh. No, my husband's very good at running restaurants. Like, our restaurant was run really well. I was responsible for very small things like filling up containers of sauce or
Okay.
making or dishes. I did dishes a lot. Um, yeah. I, so it was clear to me and my husband that I did not belong in the restaurant. And so I sort of had this white space of figuring out, what did I really want to do with my life? How did I want to spend my time, money, and energy? And so we were working on these recurring income goals through owning a business and owning real estate and doing our consulting work. And I didn't have anyone to like celebrate my wins with. It felt really lonely
Mhm.
to just be working on these goals. I'm like, I didn't have a mentor and I didn't have people to celebrate with, and I didn't really have professionals to help me. Um, and so I started talking to women about money. I would just start these money conversations just to kind of see, like, oh, do you want to talk about this? And I'd get one of two reactions. One, women would be like, yes, I've been looking for somebody to also talk about money. I have things to celebrate and ask and share. Um, and I was very excited about that. And the other would be women who would physically recoil and walk away from me and be like, that's rude to talk about money. It's taboo. Like, it's stressful. Don't do it. Um, and I knew from those conversations that women should be in community where it wasn't a space of should or judgment or blame or shame with money, but this really supportive place where we can all build wealth in ways that align with our values and our goals and in very unique ways.
Mhm.
So the Pledgettes is community first. It's an online space where people can share experiences, celebrate wins, ask questions. We bring in outside speakers to share their favorite money topics. So we had financial therapists talking about money mindset. We've had certified financial planners talking about different investment accounts that you can have. We kind of talk about everything that is related to money. And then we also have social events where we just get together and talk about whatever's on our mind as it relates to money. And it's been such a beautiful community that I've seen people really change their relationship with money in the 3.5 years that we've been around and achieve big things. And at its core, once you get goal clarity and you start using your money in alignment with purpose and intention, big things can really happen.
Nice. How can people find out more or get in contact with that? Or do you have a website or social media accounts for that?
Yes, we'll put it in the show notes, but you can email me, jen@thepledgettes.com. Our website is thepledgettes.com. The Pledgettes on social. Um, yeah, follow us, reach out. If there is something that you have just achieved financially and it's just been kept deep down in you, send me a message. I want to celebrate. Tell me what you've done. I want to cheer for you and give you a virtual high five. If there's something that's stressing you out, I like connecting people to professionals that can help them.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, let's talk about money. I'm
Yeah.
here for it.
I like that you said that too. Like, you feel like you celebrated your wins alone. It's not like lonely. I feel like it's the same a lot. So I think for one, I guess the most, I guess, prominent example for me would be earning my PhD. Of course, I'm from Mississippi. I think it's around 48 or 49, whether I can buy my education. So education really isn't something that is celebrated in my family. I think maybe the value of it is seen, but not to a very celebratory front. So when I got my PhD, I didn't really have a lot of people show up for it. So I was kind of like, I was very disappointed. And it took me like years to get over that. But it didn't really seem like, I have anybody to celebrate a lot of the things that I do are successes. So, finding that network and being able to talk to people and share those experiences and moments in life, I think is great that you started that, or you're part of that, or you're a founder, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
founded it.
yeah. So that you founded that organization for women to come and talk about that, because I know a lot of times with women specifically, they do feel isolated in a lot of their things, especially in corporate environments when it seems to be so male dominated, or it is so male dominated, that having that network of other women to you know relate to, because I tell everybody, like, a man will never know what it's like to be a woman, and a woman will never know what it's like to be, a man. We can have our assumptions and best guesses, and have some understanding to a certain point, but you just never know what a person is going through until you walk, like they say, oh, I'm in their shoes. So
Yes.
yeah, so I think that's great.
Well, I wish I knew you when you got your PhD, because I totally would have celebrated that. That's a
Well,
huge
thank you.
accomplishment. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is no disrespect to my family or anything, but it's just
Yeah.
like, it's just a thing. Like, it's just like, if you get your bachelor's degree, and it's a big deal. But then I got my PhD. A lot of people came after that when I got my PhD, and it's just kind of like, it's like, this is big. Like, not very many people get a PhD, and especially not that many black men. So
Yeah.
it was just,
And I think also, like, when we don't have those opportunities to celebrate our wins, we spend. We get a raise or a promotion, and then we upgrade our car. And then
mhm,
everybody can say, like, oh, Carlos,
yeah,
congrats on getting your new car,
right.
where we could have just saved $30,000 and I could have just congratulated you on getting a raise or a promotion.
Yeah.
And you could have kept your same 10-year-old car.
Well, I'm cheap, so that part, that I won't have to worry about them telling me congrats on that. My Camry is going to last me until the wheels fall off. They're going to be in hover cars before I get another car payment, because I know we're going to be
I
long
love
past
it.
EVs, and I'm going to be like Jetsons, because that's, I
How many miles does your Camry have?
think it has like 138. I got it back in 2000. It's a 2014. I bought the car brand new, so I got it in like 2014 or 2015. It's probably
Wow.
2015. Yeah. So
Those things run for like 250,000 miles, so
yeah,
it's only like halfway there.
I know it, and I'm remote. I don't have to go anywhere. I just drive to the grocery store and the gym. Basically, I go to the gym more than anywhere because I'm always at home. But yeah, like, yeah, it's gonna last longer than forever because I don't go anywhere. So it's the perfect car. It still runs like it's new. It doesn't make a lot of noises or anything. So shout out to Toyota, cut me a check. Cut us both a check out for this free advertisement.
Please sponsor this
Right.
podcast.
Toyota going places. So yeah, yeah. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to ask you about real estate, and how did you manage
Yeah.
to get into that? And is it something that you want to grow in, or you? I think you say you have two properties now.
We have 5 right
Oh,
now.
five. Where did I get two from? Okay,
We had 2 in 2019.
okay, okay, okay. Nice. So I guess you all do want to grow in it.
I do. Yes. So, uh what's been really cool is that when we are very intentional and purposeful with our money, our wealth grows, and we get this confidence that we can do bigger things. And so how I got into real estate, um my dad growing up, said invest in real estate as early as you can. He liked to call it forced savings, because you're putting your money towards equity in a house versus rent of just it going to the landlord. Um, and so I bought a condo a year out of college because it was before the housing crash. It was why there was a housing crash, because they were giving money to college, early professionals a year out of college with no money. So I think I put like $5,000 down, on a condo, and I saved that from my high school jobs and my college jobs. And I bought a 2-bedroom condo in Chicago and rented the second bedroom out. So I was house hacking before that was a term. And uh, probably for 6 years, I had a roommate. So somebody really helping me pay my mortgage down so I could get some more equity in my house. And then when I moved to Colorado, met my husband, we bought this house that I'm in now. And actually now we're in the process of moving back into this house. We bought it in 2017. It's been a rental for us since 2017, and this is the first time we're living in it, and I feel very grown up to be living in a house that I own. But the reason why we did that was we bought this house. um, we started traveling in our Airstream travel trailer for a year leading up to getting married. It was an incredible experience, super valuable, learned a ton. um, and so we had this choice of like, okay, we could live in this 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, or we could rent this out, make a couple $100s, and go live in a smaller, cheaper place. So we did. So we kept getting a smaller and smaller place as we got to know each other more and realized we could live together and we didn't need separate bathrooms. But now that we've known each other for so long, we like having separate bathrooms. It's just a cycle.
Yeah.
But at one point, we lived in a studio apartment and we were paying 1,100 a month in rent at the studio apartment. And our goal with running all these numbers was, our first goal was, can we make $100 a month on
Mhm.
this place renting it out? And then we kept upping that to like, can we get it so we could live for free? And so we had two levers to pull. We had one, how much can we rent our places for? And how cheaply can we live? And so we just kept pulling these levers until like we essentially had our properties making more money than we were paying in rent. And so that number just has kind of kept growing, like we keep increasing the ladder on that. But our goals over time have shifted to, now we half of our property, so two of our 5 units, nearly half, are below market rent. So how we want to spend our time, money, and energy, we want to keep people living and working in the community to be able to live in the community.
Nice.
So we have one tenant who, both of them are paying $500 a month less than what market value is.
Mhm.
And that, I think, is the best part about being an investor, is that we get to choose. Um, we get to choose what kind of returns we need, or how to make the money, how to make the numbers work. So not all investors are just trying to like squeeze as much money as possible, but there certainly are a lot of investors that are out there doing that. Um, but as an investor, we're playing the game, and we don't love capitalism and we don't love extraction, but how can we use our time, money, and energy in ways that align with our values? And keeping people in the community is very important to us. And our goal, our long-term goals, are to have all below market rent properties where we just have good long-term tenants who get to take care of our properties and we get to take care of them, so they get to stay in the communities that they have always lived and worked in. So um, that's what we're working on. So real estate is very important to me, and to us. My husband likes owning and operating businesses, so I imagine, while we don't currently own a restaurant, I know in the future we will too. And he's done some really cool things. We do bonuses for profit sharing in our businesses,
Oh,
and
nice.
really teach our employees, one, how they can have a career in the restaurant industry, and to improve their skills. So we sent one of our employees to a 2-night knife skills class to help him, improve his skills and be a better candidate for his future positions. We know, not everybody's going to work with us forever. While
Yeah.
we would love to grow with everyone, we
Yeah.
want them to grow faster than we're able to grow.
Yeah.
Um, And I think that's the best part of setting big financial goals and in having an intentional relationship with money is that you get to be the change you want to see in the world.
Mm. Well, I'm going to have to stop you right there and give you a round of applause because that's the stuff. That is the stuff that I love to hear because, I don't think that socialism is the answer. I don't think that capitalism is the answer. I think that there needs to be a combination or hybrid, just something new. And what you said about keeping people in the community, that's amazing. The profit sharing. I think in order for capitalism to work, I think there has to be some form of profit sharing. You're making
Mhm.
we use like famous. I just said we use Disney. Disney's making billions of dollars a quarter off of theme park, revenue and
Mhm.
profits, and they're laying off all these people. And it's just we're in the middle of a pandemic and coming out of a pandemic, and you're making all this money, and you're letting people go, and you're cutting hours and attractions and all this stuff. It blows my mind. Like I don't really know how that works. Well, I know how it works, capitalism.
Yeah.
But you would think that, you're making billions, you could at least give 25% of that back to the employees and not lay anybody off. Because I think that a lot of companies and these big corporations forget that if it's not for the employees, you wouldn't have this money. Like they make your company because you can't go out here. The C-suite can't go out here and run, an entire park. They can't even run the ticket booth, let alone,
Yeah.
all the rides and attractions and the janitorial and cleaning up and just looking at Disney at night, like the stuff that happens at night. I remember working there as a manager and I came in early one morning. We were to open up things and like the repairs, like actually like I don't want to say mucking, but like pressure washing the park floors, like the entire park, and like the crews, the overnight crews that come in there and like flip that thing and make it look brand new for the next day, and like going from like Thanksgiving, and then the next morning you come in there, you got this big huge tree and all the Christmas decorations up in the
Yeah.
park. Like it's just so much to take to run these things, and we really take that stuff for granted. A lot, and not just us in general, but a lot of these, executive boards and leadership don't really appreciate the work that goes into like, even at the call centers. Like my God, like that's a job. So
Yeah.
for you all to be sharing, just to be a small business like you all are, to do that profit sharing, that's really commendable. So
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's last month at Capital One Cafe, I did an event with them and it was talking about your biggest raise. How did you earn it? What tips do you have for others? We're all about sharing our experiences and knowledge. And I put some stats up that right now the average CEO earns 399 times its average worker. And it's a broken system because the average worker cannot work 399 years or 399 jobs
yeah,
that the CEO can earn. So I think the short-term sight of stockholder price or uh, shareholder price and looking at the stock market has made a lot of these companies look at making short-term decisions to just improve their shareholder price and their stock price, where it seemed like my parents' generation for sure, they really did invest in employees more, where an employee stayed with a company for their whole career. My dad's college roommate worked for one company his entire career and retired with that one company. And like that just, I think there's a broken social contract with employees and
mhm,
employers, and that is making employees change jobs every 18 months. And then companies are like, well, we're just training people all the time because we just have all these new people. It's like, well, help your employees grow and help your employees succeed instead of just working on these short-term gains. So I think there is a better way. I think we're in this great resignation, great renegotiation. I think we're seeing a shift where employees have more opportunities and more power. And I'm optimistic about the future. I hope there are more employee-owned businesses, co-ops, small businesses that can succeed in the future because I think that's really going to help us have a healthier society.
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think our generation and younger generations, like Z and Alpha, are really going to start shifting into that, especially like Gen Z. I think like I told somebody else, our generation is stuck somewhere in the middle with tradition and new ways. So I think it's kind of hard for us to break free or completely break free from the traditional values. But I think as we're getting older, we're kind of like, okay, this is a bunch of crap, you know. Um, I had a friend of mine. He said the company he used to work for, like millions of dollars for like regulatory stuff, and the only thing he got was a call from the president of the company, and that he couldn't answer the phone. He was out, so he missed the call. The guy left him a voice message and told him like, you don't have to worry about calling him back. So I was just like, well, damn, he saved you all millions of dollars, and you gonna tell him like you didn't give him any type of bonus or anything like this, like these federal um, I guess, whatever laws
Yeah,
or whatever they were going to be breaking if they didn't have the system fixed. And it's just kind of like not even a watch, not even a
right.
Timex,
Yeah,
you know.
yep,
So it's kind of crazy, but I think that a lot of young people are waking up to the ills of corporate America, and they're not really tolerating it, kind of like that um, boomer generation or that silent generation, just stuck with a company because companies have a lot of options and so do employees. So, they're not
yeah.
really sticking around. So, yeah, so that's pretty amazing. We're running up on time here. Is there anything that you want to talk about before we start to wrap things up?
I would just encourage people that uh, dream really big and take action towards it. And if you uh, and your dreams are going to continue to shift and evolve in the future, but being intentional and purposeful with your money, money will help your goals, whatever they may become. And so don't skip out on the small stuff. Stay in touch with your relationship with money and do what you want without people shooting on you or putting judgment on you. I think there's so much opportunity, and I'm very optimistic about the future jobs and future opportunities and everything that's going to exist and build a better way.
Nice. I think those are great words of encouragement and a good message to leave the listeners with. Before we get out, though, I do like to play a couple of little games or exercises, little this or that. What would you do? Would you rather? Type questions.
Ooh.
A couple more things. So the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what type of music do you listen to? What do you listen to when you're working?
I have been on this French cafe lounge playlist on
Okay.
Spotify. My husband and I went to France for his cousin's wedding in October of 2021, and we just started listening to French music, and it's so chill and relaxing, and it just has like this good little beat and vibe to it that just
Yeah,
keeps me going and happy.
nice. I look, I've gotten into that a lot more, like the chill music. I don't want to say like more jazzy type, laid back music. I've been listening to that a lot. Um,
Yeah.
So what I'm going to have to start doing is put it in the little invite is having people put a song because I want to create a playlist with at least one song from everybody and put it on Spotify. So that's the
I
goal.
love it.
Yeah. Also, too, before I go on with these questions, I would like to have you back for a panel, maybe just talk about some of these things. So I have a busy summer, but after the summer, I want to start doing panels, like bringing people back and have stuff. So like I wrote it down what you said about the broken social contract between employees and employers and employees. I think that would be a great panel discussion to have and just get people's input on that. So I'll probably be reaching back out to you. I did follow
I
you
love it.
on Sounds like it's doing. LinkedIn,
Yeah.
you probably saw the
Yeah.
notification. Um, but what are some things that you do for self care?
uh, I take my dog on a walk in the middle of the day.
Okay,
I The best part of the day, the warmest part of the day, 3 o'clock. That's when I like going on dog walks.
nice. Okay. Um, and what are some things? So you're, an entrepreneur, so this might be a little tricky to answer, but what are some things that you would recommend for individuals who are entrepreneurs to do for professional development?
Build your network. Find a mentor, create a very intentional mentorship relationship. Ask a person, will you be my mentor? And share the expectations that you have. Like, I would like to meet with you once a month so you can help me work through some leadership challenges that I have, or run through my P&Ls and see if I'm missing anything. Like, be very specific, because when you ask somebody to help you in a very specific way, it's a lot easier, yes, than feeling the overwhelm of like, that I don't want to be someone's mentor. Like, are you going to text me in the middle of the night all the time,
Yeah.
or ask me to work for free for you? Like, be very intentional with the relationship that you want. There are so many great free conferences out there, great books, great podcasts. Figure out the way that you learn the best and just dive into learning, just to learn, just to be curious. And the more you learn, the clearer the path is going to unfold in front of you.
Mhm. I like that first bit, and I didn't really think about that. But as an entrepreneur, I think networking probably is like one of the most critical things that you can do, as far as like professional development, because like, I don't know. I just think that is more relevant. I don't want to say more relevant, but I think it might be just a notch higher than, if just using me for an example as an instructional designer, I can go to a conference or get a certification or something like that. As an entrepreneur, like you really you're a jack of all trades, so to speak.
Mm.
Especially when you're first starting. So, networking. So maybe you can meet somebody who can get you a better price on some wholesale items, or they can get you a connection to get this process sped up for you, or teach you how to do something that can save you money. So yeah, I think networking is very important for entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Okay, would you rather live in a perfect city with a bad job, or live in a boring city with a perfect job?
Boring city with a perfect job.
Okay. And let's see. The next one is, would you rather have your choices be made by other people, or have your choices be made using a randomized method?
Other people.
Okay. Would you rather be the absolute best at something that no one takes seriously, or be well above average but nowhere near the best at something well respected?
These are hard questions. I would I would be average at something people respect.
Okay. Would you rather be famous when you're alive and forgotten when you're dead, or unknown when you're alive but famous after you die?
Ooh. Uh, I'm going to say famous alive, because I think then I can activate more people to work in alignment with my mission.
Okay. Last one. Would you rather look for gold or look for diamonds?
Gold. Diamonds are overrated and
Yeah.
dirty.
Well, cool. That was it for that. Is there anything that you're working on or that you want to tell the people about to check out? this is your time. You can, if you want to, tell them where to contact you. I know we talked about that a little bit, but if you want to tell them
Yeah.
again.
Come find me at the Pledgettes on all the socials and pledgettes.com. If we are a community for women, however, we do partnerships with different companies and organizations. So there are events that everyone is invited to and welcomed to. Um, and I talk to everyone. So if you want to celebrate a financial win, I'm your girl. Send me a message. I definitely want to give you a virtual high five for the work that you've done for yourself.
Nice. But yeah, thanks for being on the show. I really enjoyed our conversation.
Likewise, I look forward to coming back and talking to you more.
Yeah, we mentioned a lot of other podcasts, so we have to definitely expand upon some of those conversations in another episode.
Sounds great.
All right, well, have a good night. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye bye.